Mr. X is a multi-disciplined South African creative that is taking over the art scene with his unique approach to design and skill with the paintbrush. Collaborations with the likes of Samurai Farai, Happyville, Creative Corner, as well as many more, Mr. X is an artist that has studied the game and is sure to take it to the next level. Join us as he shares his journey only on the Safe Space podcast. Today, I'm joined by a guest that I've really been looking forward to having. We have Mr. X on the podcast.
What's up? What's up, my bro?
For coming through. Thanks for making the time, first and foremost.
Thank you for having me.
Starting out, how are you, dog? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm great. Always love saying I'm fantastic. Not too much, man. I'm alive and I'm well. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And starting off, I just wanted to know a bit about when you talk to people and you introduce yourself. What do you kind of start out by saying it is that you do? How do you best explain what it is that you do?
So I do a couple of things, but the first thing that I go by is I'm an image maker. So simple description is making artwork, painting a canvas or making a sculpture. Maybe I have like a big spike or something, which becomes a sculpture. So when I just describe what I do is that I'm an image maker, an artist overall. I create content and I model. But the main thing that I always tell people is that I'm just a visual artist, and then we take it from there.
Okay, so more or less you're creative. You put yourself in the creative realm.
Yes, sir.
Okay, hopping a bit into your background. Where are you from?
So I grew up in Joburg. Spent a couple of years in Eastern Cape. Born in Pretoria. Raised in between, let's just say the East Rand, in between those areas being like Kempton Park, Buccleuch, Midrand. Those are the areas that I've been rotating around throughout my whole life.
Okay, and then when we get into the art side of things, how did you discover that art was something that you're trying to pursue? Were you always an artist? Was there something else you kind of aimed to do, or was it just this art thing is for me and I'm going to push it as far as it can go?
I think art has always been a part of my life. I was always that kid who drew at the back of my books, even at the back of the exam paper. After I was done with it, or I was actually tired of writing the examination paper, what I'd do is draw at the back of the book or the paper itself. And then it got to the point where in my books, my teacher would circle around the drawings themselves and say, stop drawing in your books and write it down. And then I got to high school, and then I started watching this guy Marco who used to like paint sneakers, and I started it too. And then it built up from there, starting to work on canvases. And then before I left high school, I got the chance to paint a classroom. So my teacher's classroom at a certain point, but it just started off as a kid. And then in grade 9, that's when I was like, oh, this thing could actually be viable. And then just started going on from there. Became my way of living.
Okay, so diving a bit more into that grade 9 thing, when you kind of said that was the position where you said this is something that could be a viable career, do you kind of remember that moment when you're like, art is definitely what I'm trying to do and there's nothing else that I'm trying to push?
I don't remember a moment, I think it was a situation where, in simple terms, so art was the only space that I genuinely felt capable, in the sense that my eyes would move faster than I could actually read. So comprehension in terms of me reading was always a difficulty. Eventually I'd force myself to actually be able to read. But the school system always made me feel like I was incapable. And then art was sort of an escape for me. So being in that space where I didn't feel like I could do this thing, this was a space where I could always literally pop out a sketchbook, pop out a line paper and just draw. And it was always like a space where I could occupy space or run away from something.
Okay, so do you kind of put yourself as somebody that kind of thinks outside of the lines? Because what I'm getting from the reference that you put down is kind of that not necessarily the school limits you, but sometimes it kind of puts you in a parameter. that you kind of need to fit into. And when you're talking about the fact that in your test, you draw outside of the lines and you do your own sketches and all of that, is that kind of how you saw your creative journey as something to do outside of schooling, if you may say so?
Uh, yeah, I was always someone who genuinely liked being outside of the box. I mean, I used to skate when everybody was playing rugby. I did play rugby for a certain period, but at a certain point I was like, no. And then I started skating when everybody was doing soccer, or I was drawing when everybody was doing their work. So there's always that thing of not wanting to fit in. And my dad always told me as a kid, like, don't try and be like everybody else, you're your own person. So that thing had lived out through my whole life, where I find myself doing things that not other kids would do. Yeah.
I hear that. I definitely get that. Sometimes rules, obviously we try to fit in, as a society, it's good to fit in and kind of map your own way. But when I've looked at your work and I've gone through your IG, you definitely stand out as one of those rules that isn't riding away. You're not riding a specific trend or anything. You kind of focus on your own thing and pushing what you're trying to push. And I really respect that. I feel like it takes a lot to stand out and be your own person in this field.
Thanks, bro.
I really do appreciate that about you, dog. Just diving a bit more into your art, I was looking through your Instagram and I was looking at a lot of your pieces and I noticed a reoccurring character. I've seen this, I want to say the pawn from Mario, but I'm not 100% sure. So I wanted to know a little bit about what is the character that is always reoccurring in.
I'm glad you actually spotted it out. So I used to play Super Mario a lot as a kid. Oh, and Plants vs. Zombies. I used to play a lot of games as a kid. And I finally found something that like I could reiterate. And I found this character I saw, and then I did the first one. And then it started building up, and then the characters became like a whole colony of these different characters. So, and then I started Andy Warholing it, which was creating different reiterations of one artwork. So it could be one character, but different color sequences, or making the spikes a bit sharper, because like playing around with the structures can actually make a person feel different. But my work is mostly about the childlike essence. So that's why hence I'll take from my old cartoon characters and create them within my own style, and then be able to articulate the feeling that I'd like people to get, which is a very like childish, very childlike essence. I think life forces us to grow up very quickly. So I got the chance to actually share that within my work, or get the chance to share that within my work.
I hear that your life definitely does force us to kind of grow up quite quickly. And I definitely did notice that attention to more childlike characters and just having like a warmer, childish feel to it. And I really appreciate that. I feel like in the art world, a lot of the time, from some of the brews that I've seen, we're kind of trying to dive into these deeper topics and this deeper meaning. And I'm sure yours has a lot of layering and meaning that we'll definitely get into later. But just from first glance, I really appreciate the use of color, and that kind of childish element that everybody can tap into. And I feel like it's something that everyone can relate to, You don't really need to specifically be somebody that's into art or anything like that to understand and connect with your work. And I feel like that's something not a lot of crews that have done, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you, bro.
The next thing that I wanted to talk about is when you create your pieces, who do you create for? Obviously coming from this kind of childish scheme that you go on, a very specific use of color and brightness and a lot of joy in your paintings. Who is your main demographic that you kind of target your artworks?
I'd say my main demographic, I could say people like me, but as I was saying, like I had been forced to be in situations where I had to grow up faster than the average child. And I do think it's not just me within that situation. I think there are a lot of us who grew up in situations that either there's not, let's just say, enough resources at home. So you'd have to find ways to get that thing, which force you to grow up and find a way to make that thing happen. So my work is for those who would like to remain young and keep that childlike essence. I still find myself on random days going to get ice cream, find myself going to skates, find myself going for a run, I think we lose those things as we get older to actually stay active as a child. I think that core foundation of being a child, get that curiosity gets lost within the time that we're growing, because life forces us to get serious. And my work is for people to actually remember to actually stay young, to remember to not worry about what's going on in the next person. I'm not saying don't be considerate, but what I'm saying is try and be youthful, try and go for a run, go for a walk, play with the kids, play with the kid that you don't know, go and make friends. I think that essence of actually going outside and connecting with people has been lost. We live in an Uber Eats community, and I think that can't be the way that we should live. So that's why that's what my work is actually about.
The Peru's definitely need to touch grass. I think that is
Thank you.
art these days, with a lot of the new kids growing up in that. I think we really have lost that essence of playing outside, bro. Skating with your boys up and down the road until we're tired, getting home at like 6 p.m. I feel like that's something that the youth has lost out on. And I wonder how they are kind of gonna adjust, because I feel like we might say that they have lost out, but I feel like we will always adjust and, find a way to be kids and grow in whichever area it is that we are in. But I kind of wonder how the youth is gonna grow up now in a way without these things.
The iPads.
The next thing I wanted to talk about was I see the Happyville cap, and that was something that I wanted to talk about. I had seen your recent collaboration with Happyville. You had an installation that side, and you did a bit of work there. Can you just walk us through what exactly that was and what you did for the space?
So Happyville, I'll take it a little further and just explain how the collaboration came about. But a friend shared with Lebo saying, "Hey, bro," or Lebo said he needed some art in the space, and then a friend had shared, "Yo, bro, check this bro out." Fast forward, met with him, and we just had constant chats of making like items together, a jacket or something, but collaborating in some sort of a way and displaying the art within the space. And then the idea came to me that, oh, let's paint within the space. Let's have people connect with the work. I think we're so used to seeing finished products that we don't appreciate them as much. I mean, the cameras that we use, we always want the next one. But I think there's a certain appreciation that happens when you sit down and actually get to watch someone create the painting. So now as you look at it, there's that memory that's being created that, oh, this is how he made this streak, this is how he made this color. And that's what I wanted with in the space, to connect with the space before putting the artwork up. I can feed off the space from the conversations that happen within the space, and in the process help people also connect with art to spark up that thing that actually art is important. I don't think that we don't really necessarily see it as a necessity to have art within our spaces, and art is a way of living. We have hieroglyphics, we have from back in the days, we had the indigenous drawings on the walls that we learned about as kids. We have billboards, those are forms of art. The clothes that we wear, the cuts from our jeans, those are different forms of art, and it's our way of living. So I'm trying to emphasize on the importance by helping you experience it without saying, yo, this is important, but forcing you to actually be within a space. When you step into the store, you see it being made, it sparks up that thing, oh, do I have art? Or what is this about? Or, oh, this is actually cool. Like, let me try and immerse myself within this world that you think is far away from you, as when it's something that you interact with every day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just to shed a light on why art is important, and also just to, as a rollout for what's yet to come with Happyville.
Okay. And also on that note with Happyville, I saw that Creative Corner happened to come through and they captured it. How has your kind of work portfolio grown since that exposure that you got from the Creative Corner shout outs? Has that affected your work in any way?
So it wasn't the first time we had a collaboration post with Happyville. I mean, not Happyville, Creative Corner. I don't know if you had one or two before that, but it does help with just bringing a larger audience into my space. I think it just helps with just individuals seeing what's going on. So it wasn't just Creative Corner that had shared what was going on, but it was, I think, couple of other pages that had shared, hey, this is what's going on. So how it has affected me as an individual, or affected us, if you could say, with Happyville, was just bringing more light on the main message, which is the art that we'd like to bring it out into the world. What's going on is that there's an activation, and they'd asked me a couple of questions which hopefully would help out the next creative, because they asked me questions based on my experience, and my experience could help the next person.
I know that. And also just going a bit deeper into that collaboration with Happy People, I kind of wanted to talk about creating under pressure, you know. I'm sure as much as I get the live installation part of it, there must be a lot of pressure. There's a lot of brews that are now pulling up. People are watching you paint. There's people coming to broadcast it to the world, and it's really getting out there, and there's a lot of people watching. How do you kind of cope with working under pressure, and how does that kind of look for you?
So there, I don't think I was under pressure in that situation. I'll get back to how do I work with being under pressure. But I don't mind painting. I really enjoy painting in front of people. Funny enough, I really do like my solitude a lot of the time, but I do also have fun painting with people, because the main thing is that I get to share my message. Everything else is the noise practically. So fine, there's the alkalis that come with it, but being able to share my message with the next person, which is like, bro, go and get some ice cream, go and touch some grass, is the main thing. So the best way to do that is by interacting with people. We always just want to put a painting on the wall, get someone to buy it, and then it ends there, which is nice. But at the same time, it allows me to actually connect with people. The main thing is connecting with people. We are social beings as individuals. Even though you're an introvert, you still have friends. We need each other. So I don't feel pressured by painting in front of people. I actually feel overjoyed to do that. And my work is based on impulse also. This week, yes, it's been the work that I've started this week has been very like tedious and slower, and takes me a couple of hours to finish. But I could finish a work within 2 hours, which still helps with my messaging, which is impulse. A child is very impulsive. They will jump off a tree, and then they'll probably hurt themselves at the end of the day. But the main thing is like actually being able to connect with people. Now, how do I work under pressure? I slow down the pace. Hence, I was saying like go and take a walk. If I feel like, even though the world is crashing down and I have to deal with that situation now, if I'm not okay, I will slow down the pace. I will detach from that world. So if it means that I'd have to stop painting so that I can actually feel and connect with the people, I'll stop painting and then go back to painting and focus on the work.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that you take a step back and kind of take that moment for yourself to refocus and get back to it. I feel like a lot of time as creators, we kind of try and push through it, you know. Things always need to be done. There's always a deadline that needs to be met. And it's important to kind of take a step back from that and find yourself with it or within it, because that's kind of where the art comes from.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing it under pressure, you can put out something at the end of the day. You can always put out something, but it's not going to be your best.
Yeah.
It's not going to be your best quality. So I really respect the fact that you realize when you need to take a step back to find yourself, and you take that step back.
Yeah.
Also wanted to talk about the discipline needed to be a creative. You know, we've spoken about burnout and how that can affect one. But what do you think the discipline is that is needed to be a creative? You know, a lot of times people think, since this isn't the regular job market where it's a 9 to 5, you clock in, you clock out, they kind of think it's this no rules, no guideline type of field where you can kind of just land and do whatever you want. What is the kind of discipline that you follow as an artist to make sure that you get things done on time and, you know, things follow as suits?
I think doing the things that you don't like, I don't like doing paperwork. I still have to send invoices. I still have to sign contracts. I still have to send emails. I have to respond to emails. I really hate that stuff. I'm not going to lie to you. I really, 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 really don't like the paperwork, but it's about doing the stuff that you don't like doing. At the end of the day, if you want to put bread on the table for this thing that you love, you have to do the things that you don't like. You may not have inspiration to do something, but go and hit that canvas. Something beautiful may come. I think I working on more than one project at a time. So I'll work on not less than 3 paintings, sometimes 2 if I'm saying not less, but that's contradictory. But anyway, I'd work on more than one painting at a time. And then I'd be working on my sculptures at the same time as that. and then I'd be working on preparing for projects that are to come. So let's say I know I have an activation on Saturday. I'll be preparing for the activation on Saturday, but I'll be working on other pieces at the same time. And then I'll speak to the person who helps with my 3D models and ask him to adjust A, B, C, and D. And then I'll be speaking with my videographer. There's different things that I work on more than once that keep me excited. And then just the discipline aspect. I think just doing the things that you don't like. You may not always feel like painting, but just wake up and go. And then also another thing is like, I think fitness is a really important thing. Moving your body, go and walk. If you don't like running, go and walk. I'd recommend running for anybody. I think it gets lost over time. I mean, we'd play knock and run and we'd enjoy it. Like, there's so much beauty in just having your endorphins spike up naturally without a high, that an artificial high that would get, whether it's a drug or a weed, whatever it is. I think there's something that's being neglected, which is discipline and making sure that you take care of yourself and doing the things that you don't like in order to get things done. At the end of the day, as much as it's I'm doing what I love, I have to create the specific artwork. Do something that challenges you. Do things that just push yourself to the limit, my man. Like, I think that's the best way to do this thing. I mean, if you sold a piece, try and sell 3 next time. Find ways to like push it to the next limit. And I think that's the thing that some of us do lack, or some creatives lack, which is just being passive about it.
I hear that. I feel like people are kind of passive in it, and that might link back to the earlier statement that we talked about when we were talking about people kind of viewing the creative field as something that isn't as serious, or that you need to focus on as much as a 9 to 5, something like that. So I do respect the fact that you're saying it's something that you also need to take seriously. Take it as your job. It's something that you are trying to build towards getting an income at the end of the day. It's how you're trying to put bread on the table. So I think it is very important that you treat it as work. I really do appreciate that. And I also wanted to speak about your sculpture work, some of the things that you do outside work. Can you just talk a bit about what it is that you're doing in the sculpture realm, in the 3D realm? I saw a few designs that you put up on your IG. I saw the spike board and all of that. Can you just talk to us a bit more about what that is and what you're trying to do with that?
I think taking it to the next level. I've seen like here in SA, the guys who genuinely make sculptures are the guys who've been in the game for the longest of time. You'd have like a Lionel Smith. I could name a lot of artists right now, but just I want to touch on the fact that these guys, if you want to buy an artwork from them, it would be not less than 200 or 100,000. And then that's when they decide, okay, now I have the finances, let me try and take it to the next level, which is cool because you can be passive and just make paintings. But I see there's a gap within our market where we have very few people making sculptures and toys. I mean, I really like take inspiration from the Tokyo scene, on the scene within the US. These are guys who take things far, like really far. They would make like an artwork on a card, and the card has like a cool reflection or a specific paper that they use. I think there's so much more that we can like explore and take our work to. I also like it when people interact with my work differently. It can be a painting, but not everybody's interested with the painting. Like, they don't really care about painting as much. So let me try and help the next person by making a sculpture. Like, that could also be translated into t-shirts, but touching on the whole sculpture thing is just helping you also visualize my character better. I think just like how we have a photo, which is a picture that I've painted. You're a person, I take a photo of you and you're in 2D or 3D from a 2-dimensional point. But if I paint or I create a sculpture, now you can interact with it and walk around it, you can carry it, you can pick it up. Then there's a greater emotional connection that you have to this object because it's in a 3D form. So it's just about practically just taking it up a notch and seeing how far that specific thing can go.
I hear that. I do kind of see you as a 3D artist. I like the fact that you try and encapsulate everything. How you said that something that you can see visually, something that you can pick up, something that you can touch, something that you can interact with. I feel like that is very important. Some of the time artists, whether it be across all disciplines, whether it be music or anything, people kind of focus on their one thing and focus there, but they don't realize that there's a wider audience that you're trying to grab, and an audience that might not necessarily understand the specific angle that you're focusing on. So I like the fact that you kind of try and do a little bit of something for everybody, so everybody can kind of learn and work their way up to the point and to the item that you want them to be. You know, I really do like that. I also wanted to talk a bit about your work with Samurai Farai. I'd seen one of your short videos that you did. I think he was the voiceover for it. And linking back to what we spoke about earlier when we were talking about treating this whole thing as a serious discipline, he had spoken about utilizing art as a weapon. And I thought that was quite powerful, the way that he expressed it. And I kind of wanted to know your opinion on that and how you utilize your art as a weapon and what you use that weapon for.
I think, well, it can be used as a weapon of many sorts. Practically, you're fighting against something, right? What am I fighting against? I'm fighting against being passive and growing old. I'm fighting against this daily mundane life. I think life can be a more positive experience if you see it that way. Life can only be a pleasant experience if you take charge of it. So, as I was saying, and you asked me, what do you use your work for? What's your work about? I find myself being in a situation where I can either decide in the morning, wake up and just relax, or wake up and do my work. Wake up and go and run, keep active. Wake up and fight. Literally that. So I'm fighting against practically being passive. I'm fighting against being old, because I think old is boring. I think this whole thing of, and I'm not saying we should innovate everything, reinvent the wheel with everything. But my main chat is, when you get old, you think, oh, I'm too old for this thing. I shouldn't be doing it. When you get to a certain age, before you used to dance for 100 Rand in front of family members on Christmas. Now you don't want to do that because you're too old. So I think fighting against those things. If you're going to dance for it, my bro. If you're gonna have ice cream, go and get that ice cream. It doesn't mean that because you are a certain age that you can stop being young. That's what I'm fighting against. That's the weapon that I think that I wield right now. And it could be something different at a certain point. But right now, what I'm fighting against is just us being passive as human beings.
Okay, you also spoke about something interesting when you're talking about being old. Is being old, it's not necessarily something that any of us are looking forward to. And I kind of want to know, with you as an artist, how do you see your art progressing as you get older? Do you kind of still want to do this playfulness and this interactive thing, or do you think you're going to lean into a different type of field when you get a little bit older? How do you see your art progressing with age?
That's a difficult one to answer, because I don't know. I really don't know. I think even from that week with working with Happyville, my work was very impulsive, chaotic. There were many layers to it, different mediums to it, from how I approached it. And this week, the week started and the work completely changed. I was using the same characters, but they look realistic.
Okay.
They look like, it's like you can interact with them more now. I use less color within it. It's less impulsive now. It's more thought out. It's a lot more patient. So I just think, I don't know where it's gonna go. I do a lot of studying of artists right now. The artists that I've been currently obsessed with is Rothko and George Kondo, and just their way and their views on life and how they want to communicate. George Kondo's work is about the human condition, and he makes different figures and human figures, and you can see these are people, but he distorts their faces, emphasizing on the ugliness of people. That's not a good enough description on his work, but that's where it lies around. And you'd have like a Rothko who uses layers of color to articulate emotion. So I try and emulate that through my work, which is like, how do I want people to feel? Next time when I work in the next 10 years, probably could just be about technique. But right now, at this point in time, it's just about trying to communicate a certain feeling. I think my work right now is very selfish, like sitting down and how am I feeling and how can I communicate that? And it's very technical. So where's it gonna go? I don't know, man.
It's fair, yeah. I feel like only time can tell. Yeah, I feel like that's not really a question we can ask creators where it's gonna go, because I guess it does kind of feed in whichever direction we take in life, which maybe meant it kind of pans out over time. But I think that was a really great analogy. I also just wanted to dive a little bit deeper into your relationship and work with Samurai Farai. Is that somebody that you look up to, and how did you meet him, and how has he influenced your work?
So Samurai Farai is someone who I really do look up to him. I think being that fine in high school, I used to look at his work. Early days, used to look at his work. Used to just look at how he operates and does things and how he has changed his life from being a person who was in substance abuse and being a person who completely did a 360 and being heavy into the fitness world and traveling the world and taking, like, I do think he's leading the culture currently. And within that, I'd gotten time to like spend time with him and see, and he had educated me, given me books to read that has advanced my visual vocabulary, and my messaging has also helped me financially with, come through, do the specific job, I pay you for it. I don't think necessarily you had to pay me for anything. Every time you'd say, come through, I would be like, I'm coming through. I don't really care about the money. I'm going to get so much value from this. And he'd still pay me for the day. So, and that money was used to get more supplies, get more things to read, just inform my daily life practically. Even if I got a simple chocolate with whatever he had given me. But it had really helped me with where I am today, had accelerated my career within the space that I'm in. But where we met was at his solo show, Master Modernity Volume 1, the one in Rosebank. And at the first Friday, or was it Thursday? Yeah, I think it was a Thursday. He had the first one and I asked to speak to him. And I'd spoken to him on Instagram, DM'd him, where can I get A, B, C, and D? Where can I get A, B, C, and D? Can I learn from you? Spoke to him Friday, Thursday, had a chat. But there was too much going on. So he said, buddy, please come through on Saturday. That's when I'll be interacting with people differently. Being that he's going to walk through his works and you can ask questions. Boom, boom, boom. Came through on Saturday. We were asking questions. And I'd ask questions practically around like monetization and just how can we, as creatives, make a living off that. And I think he saw that upon himself to try and help. So he'd give me information and I'd enact on that, and then it became a thing where it became a relationship. And then we went to Cape Town, all these other stuff built up, and that's where the relationship came from. Yeah, I think I'd lost my train of thought along that, but basically I lost my train of thought.
It was just on your work with Samurai, but I feel like that was a pretty good summit.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I also wanted to talk about, you dove into something when you're talking about the fact that if Farai was your job, you would have done it for free in the first place, just because of the experience that you could have gotten off of that. I kind of wanted to know your opinion on doing work that doesn't necessarily pay you. I feel like in this day and age, I'm more on the DJing side. That's more the background that I come from. And I've seen a lot of young creatives complaining that are coming up saying, if I'm not getting paid, I'm not doing it. And personally, that's not something that I really agreed with, because I feel like you really will find more in the free things that you do and gaining the experience, because at the end of the day, you need that experience before you can put a price tag to it, So I appreciate that you're one of the bros that is down to do something for free, because you recognize the fact that it isn't for free. The things that you can gain through that are quite important. So when it comes to young creatives and their outlook on work for free? I kind of wanted to know your stance on that as a whole.
I think there's one thing I recently understood. Optics is very important, eh? You could do a project, and it would be like a really sick project, and people would think, no, you got paid for that. Time you didn't get jack from that thing, you got nothing. But it was nice for that. So if you're working with a brand of some sort, if you're working with or a brand sees you on the specific campaign, they can pay you for that. But a brand can't use you if you don't, if you have nothing to show. I can't ask you to do a commission for an artwork if you don't, if I don't know what you do. I can't use you. You can't be a vessel of anything if you're not doing anything. So sometimes the free work, or a lot of the time, at a certain point, yes, free work can't be the thing. But if you're still starting your career, I think you should leverage almost every opportunity that you can get. I think, for example, since we were referencing Farai right now, he had done a lot of work with me on like bringing me through certain projects, right? So let's say he needs me to do, he took me to a project where he had to do like Comic-Con, right? And it was my first time at Comic-Con. He had left me there to make sales for him. I'd learn how to make sales. I'd learn how to pitch. Okay, if you want to buy a t-shirt, you're going to buy 2 t-shirts right now. I'll give it to you for a discount. Free game. And that kind of thing has really informed the way that I make sales today. The way that I speak to an agency, the way that I speak to an individual who I'm selling to. There's like a lot of things that free work can give you. And there's a lot of value that you can get from that. So in that case, I think creatives should take free work. And I'm not saying take every single job, but the ones that you genuinely see can provide a whole lot of value, provide a lot more value for you, take it. That way also the next individual who is willing to pay will know how to pay you and what they're paying you for.
That makes sense. And also just talking a little bit about your collaborations with a lot of other artists. I saw that you and Zale linked up and did the Speed graffiti. How was that experience, and how was the link up with them and the collaboration?
So Zale Arts is another person I really look up to. I'd say the 2 people genuinely like who have helped me through this career, like literally carried me and supported me, was him and Farai. So Zale, I call him, his name is Uyolo, so Pudyolo. He has I didn't necessarily touch the wall. I just filmed for him and took the videos and just took people through, and the algorithm helped because iShowSpeed was the head thing at that point. But the small things, like small projects where he's painting a wall and murals, he's taught me like hand techniques. It's practically within the wrist, the different nozzles that you can use for like when you're spray painting a wall, because he's a mural artist. So just teaching me those ins and outs, giving me advice, even life advice for that practically. He's just been a big brother, if I could say that. I think these 2 individuals have been a big brother to me, and just breaking through the ins and outs on how to charge and how to work around, just pitch things. Don't be afraid to say, yo, I want to do A, B, C, and D. How do you guys feel about it if I'm speaking to the agency? So that iShowSpeed thing was really fun. Bro has a lot of energy. I can't imagine how he does it. People like things. That's when I realized people like things, because the amount of people that were there, DJ Spoo was pushing his more fire.
He was pushing way back.
He was really pushing his more fire. But yeah, it was a nice experience just to see how culturally we're inclined in SA. Like SA is really culturally inclined. From the dance happening outside, from the art that's happening within the space. He only had 2 hours to do that work. He was a bit late, so 3 hours to do that work. But yeah, he was very quick. Just to see him shred that thing and make it as clear on exactly what Speed was, that this gesture that Speed had made, and at that point, and then just seeing SK at the top that came with the glass because he had done it a while back and finally got to reveal it to Speed. Personally, because Speed had seen it a while back, getting to connect with different creatives, networking in a way. So it was like a really like great experience just to see our culture and people come alive for this minor event. But it was just really great to see how creative we are as a nation.
Yeah, I think it was really a great moment for the culture. You
Yeah,
know, the zap outside
yeah.
really looked like a good time. I also wanted to touch on the importance of collaboration. You know, you've spoken about a lot of the bros that you collaborated with, and we see that you're somebody that does collaborate with a lot of people. What do you think the importance of collaboration in this industry is, where a lot of people kind of everyone kind of wants to do their own thing and stay in their own lane and be mysterious and all of that? What do you think the importance of collaboration is?
You can take this first part with the pitch of salt. I'll answer the question, but I'll build up something before that. Mysteriousness is stupid when you're still growing. For example, you'd have like a Frank Ocean who did his thing and proved himself, and then stepped out and became mysterious. He had proved himself first. This thing of creatives wanting to be mysterious from the beginning doesn't make sense to me. I mean, yes, Brother Cooper has maybe one or two posts, but there's a couple of music videos. You understand? We have people that we are connected with. I think collaboration in its core is connecting. As human beings, we're created to connect. So us trying to be cool and not connect with people and individuals doesn't make sense. So the foundation of it, connect with people. That's the beautiful part about collaboration. I think at its core, collaboration is about connecting. Now, on a monetization standpoint, collaboration is beautiful because it helps you connect with individuals on a larger landscape. You get their audience, or they get your audience, or you get beautiful insights and information, or you get new ways to approach your work. I think it informs an individual in many ways. You work with the brand and they say they want A, B, C, and D at this time. So you learn how to work on a quick pace. You guys collaborate. They may be providing you with resources to do it, financial resources, or filming equipment, which helps tell your story better. That's a great way to like get your work out there. So I think collaboration is really good in terms of sharing resources, knowledge, connecting with people, and at the foundation being a human being.
I hear that. I also wanted to touch on social media and utilizing social media in the current market that we are in. What are your thoughts on utilizing social media as a tool in this industry? I feel like a lot of people are kind of in two minds. Some people think it's a part of arts, and we kind of had a little bit of a discussion beforehand about this, but some people think that social media is a part of your art and it's integrated in it, and some people think it's kind of a distraction and takes away from the art. How do you view social media in your...
It can be both. I think both of them can coexist. I think you can be stuck in a cycle of like collecting work from other people. For example, I used to reference work, right? From whatever it is, let's say it's Pinterest or another artist on Instagram, and then building up, like taking certain things. But at a certain point, I took a step back from that and started looking at all the work that I had done and then creating my own thing. So I think there's a certain point where you can separate yourself from the social media so that you can create your own thing. I always believe in creating more than you consume. So consume, see what's going on in the world, connect with the world, but remove yourself and actually connect with the actual world. Because as much as we love social media, we only see a portion of what's actually going on. And then in terms of it being a tool, I mean, you can connect with people in the US, you can connect with people in Mexico, you can connect with people in China. Like the bridge gets gapped because of social media today. So it's one of the greatest tools to get yourself out there. It's one of the best ways to market. It's actually the best way. We don't really look at billboards as much anymore. So social media is the forefront of everything. Hence we have something called the influencer market that every brand uses today because of social media.
I heard that. And also just diving a bit more into the painting scene as somebody that's not really in the industry. I know from the DJing side, we experience a lot of gatekeeping. I wanted to know, is that something that has also bled into the arts industry?
You,
How is that side?
you, gatekeeping is a thing in every industry. Yo, man. I mean, even like with gallery systems, like gallery systems is nice for like maybe good optics and working with the gallery on like a project so that you can like look like you're this prestigious artist in a way, but we don't necessarily completely need them as much anymore. So basically, when it comes to how to explain this, I lost my train of thought again.
Continue. We're just talking about gate.
Gatekeeping, yes. There's some people who may not share their connects on how to navigate the industry. How do they connect with the brand if you're a commercial artist? How do you get, who do you speak to if you want to go to the specific gallery? Collectors, who do you use for to be a collector? What person are you going to articulate with or communicate with? Let me say that. What doors or buttons do you need to press in order to get certain things done? So gatekeeping is still a thing where people are, I don't want to say greedy, but scared that you might take their clients or you might take their market, if you could say that. Gatekeeping is going to be a consistent thing that is in every industry. We find it also within corporate systems. We find it within, what else? We find it within the music industry too, man. I think gatekeeping is always going to be a thing. Gatekeeping happens either because of insecurity or either protecting yourself at the end of the day. So not everyone will share all the secret sauce that they have, because McDonald's wouldn't be McDonald's if they didn't have their secret sauce.
I definitely. And just to wrap it up a little bit, I wanted to ask about, what is your most notable achievement or your favorite piece that you've done, if you have one?
I really like Big Spike. Big Spike is my toy.
Yeah.
It's been one of the best things for me in terms of like, because I think it was the first toy I made. So it really like put me within a different scale within other artists who had done work with me. They finally got the chance to see, oh, this guy is finally doing something. And then which informed my other characters. I have a new character coming up called Rhino. Yeah, Rhino's with the rhino horn. Just a brief explanation on Rhino. Rhino's a rhino horn, and when there's a character with a rhino horn, and then has these earrings. So Rhino is a representation of where I come from too, outside of just the character. So it's a different version of Big Spike, but now with this rhino horn representing your Africanness. I think at a certain point we're learning a lot about rhinos in primary, and it just reflects on where I come from and where I am as a person, and just trying to trace back my heritage to my art practically, because it can look very Western too. So try and integrate those two worlds and making them one.
Okay. And in closing, I just wanted to know what advice you could give to young creators. I appreciate you for coming through, and you really have given an inside outlook on a lot of things, and I think it'll help a lot of up and coming creators. So if you have a word of advice or just something to share with you, please shout to us.
First things first is, for the young creatives, don't be afraid to shoot your shot. Like, oh, maybe they don't like it, or maybe they might make a funny face. That doesn't matter. Just shoot your shot, and you find out that you can shoot 500 shots and you only get one. That one is more than enough. That one could help you with many other projects that you have. That one could also help with opening other doors that you don't even have to shoot your shot for. Second thing is, stop being passive. Stop relying on other people to do what you're supposed to do. And then another thing that I can say is, if one door closes, look for another. My favorite saying is, do with what you have until you have what you want. So if you're another individual who sees, okay, I don't have enough white paint, use black paint, bro. Use gray. Like do what you have until you have what you want. Then the last thing is connect with people. Go and say hi, greet a stranger, speak to someone, even if they're famous and you feel like wazoqhomela, say hello. You won't die. Nothing's gonna happen to you. Probably you might get hurt by a person's response, but that person is probably gonna forget about you. You're probably gonna forget about them. So, in general, just say hello, greet people, touch some grass, and connect with people.
I also wanted to talk about any upcoming work that you have would like to speak about. Is there anything that the people can look forward to?
Okay, so today is what's the day today?
Is
2nd. Yeah. Thank you. So I have a project coming up this Saturday, which this will probably come out after that. Yeah, so I have a project today with coming up this weekend on the 12th, on the 6th of June with Binance. We're going to be doing some live art with them. And I'll be doing, if you guys don't know Binance is a crypto bank, if I could say, or a crypto firm, and they're launching their new cards and they're doing more activation. So I'll be doing more work with them to just spread awareness and also just capture the energy. So I'll be doing some live art. And then there's a gallery show, coffee shop situation that I'm hosting with a couple of upcoming artists too. That's happening also on the 6th of June. And then I'll be having my 2 shows this year. One with a skateboard company called Crispy Skateboards. They're a local manufacturer of skateboards. We'll be making, I think, 12 skateboards. I already made one of them already last year. So I'll have a show with them and a couple of clothing items that will be dropping. Then my own solo show this year with my new collection of work. So that's practically what I can share and what I'm sure of right now. That's coming up, and I look forward to anyone who's gonna be there to come through, show some love, connect with other people outside of myself. Touch some grass, get outside, get an ice cream. Probably I might have ice cream at the show. You get what I'm saying? Color in some characters. Just connect with the people.
I'm trying to see that spike ball on the ice cream photo. Go hard.
But yeah.
And just ask you last thing. Where can people find you? Where can we find your work, man?
So I'm on all platforms: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, at Mr. X Art. Preferably, most cases, probably Mr. Mister_X_art on Instagram. And upcoming projects. I'm dropping candles. I'm dropping more toys, key rings, chains, stainless steel rings, which come with the 20% off on any of my artwork. So we'll be only dropping 20 of those, and a couple of chains too, and then maybe a line of clothing, because that's part of my life. So that's what's up. But yeah.
Oh, hey, Mr. X, we appreciate you so much for coming through, man. Thank you for making this out, dog.
Thank you, broski, for having me.
Episode in the space will definitely watch out for our fans will be sure to sub it, man.
Sweet.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, bro.